Hello everyone, it's Crowd Games, and today we go to the Grand Austria Hotel, where you'll have the opportunity to drink a cup of good coffee or a glass of fine wine and relax in one of the cozy rooms with a beautiful view of Vienna. At the beginning of the 20th century, Vienna was one of the most important cultural centers of Europe. On its streets, among ordinary citizens and busy tourists, you could meet famous artists, aristocrats, and politicians. You'll plunge into this high life and turn a modest inn into one of the best hotels in the city. The designers of the game are Simone Luciani and Virginio Gilli, who you may already know from such games as Tolkien, the Mayan Calendar, and The Voyages of Marco Polo. Before playing the Grand Austria Hotel, you need to set it up and lay out its numerous components. Place the game board in the center of the table. It has the round track, the Emperor track, and Victory Points track, as well as spaces for politics cards, Emperor tiles, and guest cards. Place the corresponding tokens and cards randomly. Next to the game board, place the action board, where you'll place the rolled dice on the corresponding action spaces. Next, determine the first player and distribute the turn order tiles. Players also get hotel boards, wooden discs of different color, 6 staff cards, an overview card, and one of each resource. Starting from the last player and counterclockwise, players take turns taking one guest card for free from the game board and placing it in their cafe. Then you prepare up to 3 rooms by taking room tiles from the game board and placing them on same colored spaces on their hotel board. To place a room on a floor, pay the cost printed on your hotel board. Then the fun begins. The first player rolls the dice, sorts them by the rolled number, and places them on the corresponding action spaces, and then carries out an action or passes. Despite the fact that the dice partly restrict players, everyone's on an equal footing since the dice pool is shared. On their turn, the player performs the mandatory and additional actions. You can take a guest card from the game board by paying the price indicated under the card. To do this, move the wooden disc on your money track down. Consider the choice of guests very carefully. Each of them requires you to complete a specific order. It can be just a cup of coffee and a cake, and such an order is quite easy to fulfill. But there are very voracious visitors who'll need much more than that. And until you complete their order, you will not be able to check in the guest. If by the end of the game you still have guests in the cafe, each of them will take away 5 victory points. Next, select one of the dice, place it on the lowest visible number on your turn order tile, and carry out an action. Take strudels or cakes, pick up wine and coffee, prepare rooms, advance on the Emperor track or the Money track, play staff cards or pay money to choose any of the 5 other actions and take it based on the number of dice showing 6. The number of dice on the action space determines how much you get from the action. Dice with a value of 6 will help you if there are no dice left on other action spaces or there are not enough of them there. As additional actions, players can once per turn spend money and add 1 to the number of dice on the selected action space. Spend money and move up to 3 drinks and dishes from the kitchen to the guest cards. Place a disc on the politics card, use a staff card you played with once per round effect, and move a guest whose order you completed to a free room. After you finish your turn, the player with the lowest number visible on their turn order tile goes next. Consequently, the last player takes 2 consecutive turns. For example, with 3 players you'll go as follows: first, second, third, then again third, second, and the first. If you are not satisfied with any of the dice on the action spaces, you can pass and wait until the other players complete their actions or pass in the same way. After that, you remove one dice from the action space, send it to the dustbin and roll the remaining dice. The round lasts until all players have covered both numbers on their turn on the tiles, or there are no dice left on any action space. In the game, you can get a number of additional bonuses for groups of rooms, for meeting the requirements on the politics cards, and for emperor tiles. At the end of the third, the fifth, and the seventh rounds, the emperor scoring takes place. In addition to bonuses, these tiles can impose a significant penalty on you, which will suspend you on the way to victory. So try to please the emperor. After the seventh round, the final scoring begins. The victory points indicated on the plate politics cards and staff cards are summed up, as well as points for the occupied rooms for the remaining resources and money. The winner of the game is the one who gets the most points. Each game of the Grand Austria Hotel will be different from the previous one. First, the players' boards are double-sided. The night side is the same for everyone, and the day sides are unique. Second, you get different staff cards and guest cards, and each of them has its own bonuses. And there are more than 100 such cards in the game. And this is not to mention the Emperor styles and the politics cards. So you can play it over and over again. Well, we don't say goodbye. Stay tuned.